Hey y'all, Rick Sky here, back again with another tutorial video. And within this video, I'm going to talk about techniques, how to tell if someone is lying. Now there's all different types of liars. Some liars are professional liars, you know, the types of people that are involved with affairs and that sort of stuff. Then there's liars that think they're good, but they're really not. Then there's liars that become very, very cocky about their lying, and they think that they can get away with anything, and that's how they expose themselves. But a few things that I've always done, and I've been involved with a lot of, YouTube's my big thing, but I've been involved with a lot of situations where you're often tasked with having to determine if someone's lying. So there's a few things that I always do, and I've got a weird, I've always had this, a weird ability to read people. And often I can even, with people, I can often even see colors of aura, A-U-R-A. So I've got a heightened set of abilities that a lot of y'all may not have. But I am going to explain on top of that what a lot of people can do to better determine if someone's probably lying. So body language is a big thing. If you've got somebody, if you ask them a very direct question, let's just make it something hypothetical. So you could say, did you steal the ketchup from the refrigerator? And if they say no, or just like a quick answer without any sort of hesitation, that's an indication they may not be lying. But if you say, hey, did you steal the ketchup from the refrigerator? And there's a pause and maybe even a movement or a change of facial expression, something weird, that's an indication that they're likely lying. Some other things that I've found, and this is pretty much true most of the time, if you deal with people, especially people that you don't know, but if you deal with people and they're always complimentary and, you know, it's all the buzzwords, think of, oh, you the man, or what's up, you know, looking sharp or whatever, you know, those types of things, you know, those types of people that are always complimentary. The people that are often complimentary often aren't doing it because they really mean that. They're often doing it to divert from reality, which is that they're probably a dishonest person. And they're just using that fake personality type to make others assume that they're an honest and friendly person. Because people often want to be around people that, here's a good example. Go to a car lot, you know, go buy a car. Everybody on that lot is going to be super nice. They're going to be complimentary. They're going to make you feel good, this, that, and the other. That's just the way of doing that. You know, you want to put a customer at ease. You want them to feel good about themselves and feel like, you know, not only are you buying this vehicle, but you're buying it because you like whomever you're buying it from, which is total hogwash. I mean, I could care less if my car salesman is friendly or not. I mean, always they're going to be, by default, they're going to be friendly because they're trying to sell a car. But I see through everything. Again, I have the ability to see the color of auras. So I can go into a room anywhere. I can go into a room anywhere, and I can tell you at any table who's dishonest, who is sleeping with whomever, who is. You know, I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, this world it's a horrible world. I mean, it's not a horrible world, but it's a world full of filthy people. So, you know, you don't have to, but be aware of what's going on. You know, if you've got the warm and fuzzies, it may not be the case. It may just be a false sense of, a false sense of honesty. You know, never assume that things are as they're painted to be, because that's when you get yourself into, not into trouble, but you fall victim of liars' games. And this is applicable for, again, this is applicable for business, this is applicable for friendships, this is applicable for marriages, this is applicable for, you know, any sort of scenario. You know, just being able to read people. So, you know, again, body language, awkward pauses when asked a question. And again, an awkward pause, if it's something that's a question that's very, that requires thought, you know, it's a challenging question, then maybe there is a natural pause, and maybe that doesn't indicate that someone is lying. But eyes, and again, facial expressions, raising of the eyes, let's see, what else? Just people that ask a question, you know, you're around somewhere and somebody asks a question for, you know, for no real reason, but sometimes people ask questions because they're trying to read you and figure out if you figured them out. So liars are easy to detect once you learn how to spot, again, not just the body language, not just the awkward pauses when asked questions, but also see who these individuals associate with. Because often liars, they run in packs. So if you find one dishonest person, and the people that they are around, there's likely a good bit of them that are also dishonest, but there's also probably some good people, some good honest people in that mix. But those honest people have been manipulated. You know, maybe they have not yet discovered they're aligned with a bunch of liars, or maybe maybe they realize it, and maybe it's just a game for them, and you know, and they enjoy the excitement or whatever. And I have no real reason for posting this video, but you know, being involved with YouTube, going around the world, interacting with a lot of people that I probably don't know, it's important to have these skills. And again, my skills are heightened because I have the ability to see the color of Alrus, which is very unusual. Few people can do, well, not few, there's a lot of people that can do that. So I can walk in anywhere, say I'm out of the country, and I'm in an area that I'm not sure about, maybe there's not a lot of people around. If I see a person, say I'm in an alleyway, you know, it could be a sketchy place, and I see a person coming, I can immediately read that person and identify them as a threat, identify them as an honest person, identify them as someone that's, you know, that's deranged in some way. Are they a threat in any way whatsoever? You know, do I need to quickly establish an exit plan for that area? In that case, the alleyway that I'm in. Do I need to? And anytime I enter an environment, the first thing I notice within that environment is who's in the room, where are the exits. Just common sense kind of, well, not necessarily common sense for everyone, but you know, again, this is a mean and nasty world, and you got to be aware of where you are, because just being able to tell if someone's honest or dishonest, you know, if you're in a scenario where it could become a, you know, dangerous situation, you know, you're around a bunch of people you don't know, and you're in an environment you don't know. If you don't properly read people, you could put yourself in a very bad situation very quickly. So, you know, I always chuckle. People often tell me that I'm a paranoid person at times, and I respect their opinion, but I don't look at it as paranoia. I look at it as a heightened sense of situational awareness. So, you know, I do this stuff. I read people, not because I have any reason to read people, but it's the first thing I always do. It's just a natural instinct of mine. You know, read people. You know, do they have a negative aura, a dishonest aura, an honest aura? Are they impossible to read? There are a few people that I've met, just very few, but very few people that I've met that I haven't been able to read. And those people are just very, they're very talented when it comes to, let's just call it putting up a fence, you know, where you can't read that person. And not to say they're bad people, you know, they could be honest or dishonest. You know, I've met both types that I couldn't establish an accurate read, but very few have I met like that. But they use their skill set to, I'm trying to think of the best way to to put it in simplistic terminology, they use their abilities to, let's just call it camouflage themselves. They use their abilities to camouflage their true self. So it kind of puts them, I wouldn't say it gives them an edge, but it kind of does in a way, because, you know, people that you can't figure out by default, someone that can't be figured out often has an edge because they can't be figured out. You know, it's like any sort of game. If you can't establish, if you can't guess what the person's next move may be, you don't have an advantage because you have no idea what they may do next. If you can read people, which most people can be read very easily, as already mentioned, then you've always got an edge because you can anticipate the next step. So again, I hope this video is of value. I'm always trying to think of how-to topics. I'm out in the woods, I'm hiking, you know, I'm thinking about just all kinds of stuff. You know, what's a good tutorial that is something different that people may find value within, and you know, and that's why I did this. You know, how to tell if someone's lying or if someone's honest. And you know, there's a lot more to it again than the body language, the awkward pauses while speaking. There's a lot more to it. I mean, you know, again, just to recap, look at the people that these people align themselves with. Be aware of overly complimentary type people, because often they're trying to put the person they're speaking to at ease. And it may not be they may not have ill intent by putting the person at ease, but they may, because, you know, if people feel that they can put someone at ease, then they feel that they control that person, or they think they control that person. So, you know, there's a lot of things that you can find. And another thing I wanted to point out, routines. If you're familiar with someone, and this would be someone that you know, but if you're familiar with someone, you often become familiar with their routines. If there's ever anything, and it doesn't have to be major, but anything simple that doesn't follow the normal routine, there's probably a reason for that. It probably wasn't missed. So if you notice something that's not following the routine, that could be an indication that somebody's lying about something, you know. So put all the evidence together and perform your own due diligence and figure out, well, that's weird. Why could that have been the case? It's really fascinating stuff. And again, I did a lot with psychology in college, and that's not what taught me this. I mean, I've always had the ability to read people's auras. It's a weird ability, but psychology is a fascinating field. I don't think I would ever be interested in psychology, but I am. You know, there's certain aspects of it that I enjoy. But I just wanted to post this video, so I hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. It's youtube.com/IRIXGuide. And ring that bell icon when you do to be notified whenever I post another video. And watch out for those dishonest people, because dishonest people are not good people. Or maybe they're good people and they just corrupted themselves somehow. Who knows? I'll see you later. Hey y'all, Captain IRIX Guy here. I hope y'all enjoyed this video. If you did, please be sure to subscribe. It's youtube.com/IRIXGuy. And ring that bell icon when you do to be notified whenever I post another video. Thanks for your viewership, and y'all have a good day.